something dreadful has happened.
What is it?
I have lost your poems.
They were unworthy of you. I will write you some more.
No, thank you. Never any more poems for me. Oh, how could I have been so mad, so rash, so imprudent?
Thank heavens for your madness, your rashness, your impudence.
Oh, be sensible, Henry. Can't you see what a terrible thing this is for me? Suppose anyone finds these poems. What will they think?
They will think that a man once loved a woman more devotedly than ever man loved woman before. But they will not know what man it was.
What good is that to me if they will know what woman it was?
But how will they know?
How will they know? How will they know? Why, my name is written all over them. My silly, unhappy name. Oh, if I had only been christened Mary Jane, or Gladys Muriel, or Beatrice, or Francesca, or Genevieve, or something quite common. But no, Aurora, Aurora! I'm the only Aurora in London, and everyone knows it. I believe I'm the only Aurora in the world. And oh, how horribly easy it is to rhyme to it. Henry, why didn't you try to restrain your feelings a little in common consideration for me? Why didn't you write with some little reserve?
Write poems to you in reserve? You asked me that?
Yes, dear. It was my own fault as much as yours. I ought to have noticed your verses never out been addressed to a married woman.
Oh, I wish they had been addressed to an unmarried woman. I wish they had.
Indeed, you have no right to wish anything of the sort. They are quite unfit for anyone but a married woman. That's just the difficulty. What will my sisters-in-law think?
Have you got sisters-in-law?
Yes, of course I have. Do you suppose I'm an angel?
I do. Heaven help me, I do. Or I did, or...
Listen, dear. It's very nice of you to live with me in a dream and to love me and so on, but I can't help my husband having disagreeable relatives, can I?
Ah, of course they are your husband's relatives. I forgot them. Forgive me, Aurora.
The fact is, Teddy's got nothing but relatives. He has 8 sisters and 6 half-sisters and ever so many brothers, though I don't mind his brothers. Now, if you knew the least little thing about the world, Henry, you would understand that in a large family, though the sisters quarrel like mad with one another all the time, yet let one of the brothers marry, and they all turn on their unfortunate sister-in-law with perfect unanimity to persuading him that his wife is unworthy of him. They can do it to her very face without her even knowing it, for there are always a lot of stupid, low family jokes that no one understands but themselves. Half the time you can't even tell what they're saying, it just drives you wild. There ought to be a law against a man's sister ever entering his home after he's been married. I'm as certain as that, as I'm sitting here, that Georgina stole those poems out of my workbox.
She'll not understand them, I think.
Oh, won't she? She'll only understand them too well. She'll understand more harm than ever was in them, that nasty, vulgar-minded cat.
Oh, don't think of people in that way. Don't think of her at all. Aurora, do you remember that evening when I sat here at your feet and read you those poems for the first time?
I shouldn't have let you. I see that now. When I think of Georgina sitting there at Teddy's feet reading them to him for the first time, I feel I shall just go distracted.
Yes, you are right. It will be a profanation.
Oh, I don't care about the profanation. What will Teddy think? What will he do? You don't even think a bit about Teddy!
To me, Teddy is nothing. Georgina, less than nothing.
You'll soon find out how much less than nothing she is. If you think a woman can't do any harm because she's only a scandal-mongering, doughty ragman, you're greatly mistaken! Oh, Henry, help me! Find a way out of this for me, and I'll bless you as long as you shall live! Oh, how wretched I am!
And oh, how happy I am.
Don't be selfish!
Yes, I deserve that. I think if I were going to the stake with you, I should still be so happy with you that I could hardly feel your danger more than my own.
Do you mean to say? Yes, dear. You are a dear, darling boy, but you're no use. I want someone to tell me what to do.
Your heart will tell you at the right time. I've thought deeply over this, and I know what we two must do sooner or later.
No, Henry. I will do nothing improper, nothing dishonorable.
If you did, you would no longer be Aurora. Our course is perfectly simple, perfectly straightforward, perfectly stainless and true. We love one another. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm ready to go out and proclaim it to all London as simply as I will declare it to your husband when you see, as you soon will see, that this is the only way honorable enough for your feet to tread. Let us go out together to our own house this evening, without concealment and without shame. Remember, you owe something to your husband. He is an honorable man as guest here. He has been kind to us. He has perhaps loved you as well as his prosaic nature and sordid commercial environment permitted. We owe it to him, in all honor, not to let him learn the truth from the lips of a scandalmonger. Let us go to him now, quietly, hand in hand, bid him farewell, and walk out of the house without concealment and subterfuge, freely and honestly, in full honor and self-respect.
And where shall we go to?
We shall not depart by a hair's breadth from the ordinary, natural current of our lives. We were going to the theatre when the loss of the poems compelled us to take action at once. We shall go to the theatre still, but we will leave your diamonds, for we cannot afford diamonds and do not need them.
I have told you already that I hate diamonds. Only Teddy insists on hanging me all over with them. You need not preach simplicity to me.
I never thought of doing so, dearest. I know these trivialities are nothing to you. What was I saying? Oh, yes. Instead of going back here from a theatre, we shall go to my home, now and henceforth our home, and in due course of time when you are divorced, we shall go through whatever idle legal ceremony you may desire. I attach no importance to the law. My love was not created in me by the law, nor can it be bound or loosed by it. That is simple enough and sweet enough, is it not? Here are the fowls for you. I have tickets. We shall ask your husband to lend us the garage to show that there is no grudge, no malice between us. Come.
Teddy isn't in yet.
Well, let us take that calmly. Let us go to the theatre as if nothing had happened and tell when we come back. Now, or 3 hours hence, today, or tomorrow. What does it matter, provided all is done in honor, without shame or fear?
What did you get tickets for? Lohengrin?
I tried, but Lohengrin was sold out for tonight.
And what did you get?
Can you ask me? What is there we two, besides Lohengrin, we two could endure? Except Candida.
Candida? No, I won't go to it again. It is that play that has done all the mischief. I'm very sorry I ever saw it. It ought to be stopped.
Aurora!
Yes, I mean it.
That divinest love poem, the poem that gave us the courage to speak to one another, that revealed to us what we truly felt for one another, that...
Just so. That play put a lot of thoughts into my head that I never should have dreamt up for myself. I imagined myself just like Candida.
You were right. You are like Candida.
Oh, stuff. And I thought you were just like Eugene. Come to look at you, you're rather like him too.
Aurora, if Candida had truly loved Eugene, she would have gone out into the night with him without a moment's hesitation.
Henry, do you know what's wanting in that play?
There is nothing wanting in it.
Yes, there is. There is a Georgina wanting in it. If Georgina had been there to construct it, that play would have been a true to-life tragedy. Now let me tell you something about it I haven't told you before.
What is that?
I took Teddy to it. I thought it would do him some good. And so it would if I could have only kept him awake. Georgina was there too. You should have heard the way she went on about it. She said it was downright immoral, that she knew the type of woman to encourage boys to sit on the hearthrug and make love to her. She was just preparing Teddy's mind to poison it about me.
Let us be just to Georgina, dearest.
Let her deserve it first. Just to Georgina, indeed.
She really sees the world in that way. That is her punishment.
How can it be her punishment when she likes it? It'll be my punishment when she brings that budget of poems to Teddy. I wish you'd have some sense and sympathize with my position a little.
My dear, I really don't care about Georgina or Teddy. All these squabbles belong to a plane on which I am, as you say, no use. I've counted the cost and I do not fear the consequences. After all, what is there to fear? Where's the difficulty? What can Georgina do? What can your husband do? What can anyone do?
Do you mean to say that you propose we should walk right bang up to Teddy and tell him we're going away together?
Yes, what can be simpler?
And do you think for a moment he would stand it, like that half-baked clergyman in the play? He would just kill you.
You don't understand these things, my darling, how could you? In one respect, I am unlike the poet in the play. I have followed the Greek ideal and not neglected the culture of my body. Your husband would make a tolerable second-rate heavyweight if he were in training and 10 years younger. As it is, he could, if strung up to a great effort by a burst of passion, give a good account of himself for perhaps 15 seconds. But I am active enough to keep out of his reach for 15 seconds. And after that, I should simply be all over him.
What do you mean by all over him?
Don't ask me, dearest. At all events, I swear to you that you need not be anxious about me.
And what about Teddy? Do you mean to say you were going to beat Teddy before my very face like a brutal prize fighter?
All this alarm is needless, dearest. Believe me, nothing will happen. Your husband knows I'm capable of defending myself. Under such circumstances, nothing ever does happen. And of course, I shall do nothing. The man who once loved you is sacred to me.
Doesn't he love me still? Has he told you anything?
No, no. Dearest, dearest, how agitated you are. How unlike yourself. All these worries belong to the lower plane. Come up with me to the higher one. The heights, the solitudes, the soul world.
No, stop. It's no use, Mr. Upshaw.
Mr. Upshaw?
Excuse me, I meant Henry, of course.
How could you even think of me as Mr. Upshaw? I don't think of you as Mrs. Bumpus. It is always Candida. I mean Aurora. Aurora.
Yes, it's all very well, Mr. Upshaw. No, it's no use. I've suddenly begun to think of you as Mr. Upshaw, and it's ridiculous to go on calling you Henry. I thought you were only a boy, a child, a dreamer. I thought you were too much afraid to do anything. Yet here you are wanting to beat my husband and break up my home and disgrace me and make a horrible scandal in the papers. It's cruel, unmanly, cowardly.
Are you afraid?
Yes, of course I'm afraid. So would you be if you had any common sense.
Perfect love casteth out fear. That is why I'm not afraid. Mrs. Bumpus, you do not love me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You really can be very nice, Henry.
Why do you thank me?
For calling me Mrs. Bumpus again. I feel now that you're going to be reasonable and behave like a gentleman. What's the matter?
Once or twice in my life, I dreamed that I was exquisitely happy and blessed. But oh, the misgivings at the first stir of consciousness, the stab of reality, the prison walls of the bedroom, the bitter, bitter disappointment of waking it. This time, this time I thought I was awake.
Listen, Henry, we really haven't time for all that sort of flapdoodle now. I'll take care. You nearly hit me in the chin with the top of your head.
I beg your pardon. What is it you'd like me to do? I'm at your service. I'm ready to behave the gentleman if you will be kind enough as to explain exactly how.
Thank you, Henry. I was sure you would. You're not angry with me, are you?
Go on quickly. Give me something to think about. I will.
No, don't break my fan! No, don't! That's an awful trick. You've no right to do that. Oh, I didn't like that. How could you be so inconsiderate?
I beg your pardon. I will buy you a new one.
You'll never be able to match it, and it was a particular favorite of mine.
Then you'll have to do without it. That's all.
That's not a very nice thing to say after breaking my pet fan, I think.
If you knew how near I was to breaking Teddy's pet wife and presenting one to pieces, you'll be thankful you are alive instead of howling about 5 shillings worth of ivory. Damn your bag!
Oh, don't you dare swear in my presence. One would think you were my husband.
This is a horrible dream. What has become of you? You are not my Aurora.
Oh, well, if you come to that, what has become of you? Do you ever think I would have encouraged you if I had known you were such a little devil?
Don't tread me down. Don't. Help me find the way back to the heights.
If you would only be reasonable, Henry, and realize that I am on the brink of ruin, and not go on calmly saying it was all quite simple.
It seems so to me.
If you say that again, I shall do something I'll be sorry for. Here we are, standing on the edge of a frightful precipice. Now doubt it's quite simple to go over and have done with it. But can't you suggest anything more agreeable?
I can suggest nothing now. A chill, black darkness has fallen. I can see nothing but the ruins of our dream.
Can't you? Well, I can. I can Georgina rubbing those poems into Teddy. And I tell you, Henry Upjohn, that you got me into this mess, and you must get me out of it again.
All I can say is I'm entirely at your service. What do you wish me to do?
Do you know anyone else named Aurora?
No.
There's no use saying no in that frozen, pig-headed way. You must have some Aurora or other somewhere.
You said you were the only Aurora in the world, and... Oh, God, you were the only Aurora in the world to me.
Listen, dear. It's very kind of you, and I appreciate it. Indeed, I do. But it's just not reasonable at present. Now listen, I suppose you know all those poems by heart.
Yes, by heart. Don't you?
Well, I can never remember verses, and besides, I've been so busy I've not had time to read them all, though I intend to the very first moment I can get. I can promise you that most faithfully, Henry. Now try and think very particularly. Does the name Bumpus ever occur in any of the poems?
No!
You're quite sure?
Of course I'm quite sure. How could they use such a name in a poem?
Well, I don't know. It rhymes to rumpus, which seems appropriate enough at present, goodness only knows. However, you're a poet, and you ought to know.
What does it matter now?
It matters quite a lot, I can tell you. If the name Bumpus never occurs in any of the poems, then you can say they were written to some other Aurora, and you show them to me, because my name is Aurora too. So, you've got to invent another Aurora for the occasion.
Oh, if you wish me to tell a lie.
Surely, as a man of honor, as a gentleman, you wouldn't tell the truth, would you?
Very well. You have broken my spirit and desecrated my dreams. I will lie and protest and stand on my honor. Oh, I will play the gentleman. Never fear.
Thank you, Henry. I was sure you would. You are quite...
You're quite right, Mrs. Bumpus. You must excuse my temper. I've got growing pains, I think.
Growing pains?
The process of growing from romantic boyhood into cynical maturity usually takes 15 years. When it's condensed into 15 minutes, the pace is too fast, and growing pains are the result.
Oh, is this a time for cleverness, isn't it? Well, it's settled then, isn't it? You are going to be nice and good, and you'll brazen it out to Teddy that you have some other Aurora.
Yes, I'm capable of anything now. I should not have told the truth by halves, and now I will not lie by halves. I will wallow in the honor of a gentleman.
Dearest boy, I knew you would. Shh.
What is it?
It's Teddy. I hear him tapping on the new barometer. He can't have anything serious on his mind, or he wouldn't do that. Perhaps Georgina hasn't said anything. Quick, try and look as if nothing's the matter. Give me my gloves, quick. Go further away from me, quick. If I were to button my glove and you were to hum a tune.
The devil will be complete in his guiltiness. For heaven's sake, Mrs. Bumpus, let that glove alone. You look like a pickpocket. Hello. I thought you two were at the theater.
Teddy, I was so anxious about you. Why didn't you come home to dinner?
I got a message from Georgina. She wanted me to go to her.
Oh, poor dear Georgina. I'm very sorry I haven't called on her this last week. I hope there's nothing the matter.
Oh, nothing, except anxiety for my welfare and yours. By the way, Upjohn, I should like a word with you this evening, if Aurora can spare you for a moment.
I'm at your service.
No hurry. After the theater will do.
We have decided not to go.
Indeed. Well then, shall we adjourn to my snuggery?
You needn't move. I shall go and lock up my diamonds since we are not going to the theater. Give me my things.
Well, we shall have more room in here.
I think I should prefer plenty of room.
So if it's not disturbing you, Rory.
Not at all.
Do these manuscripts seem familiar to it all, may I ask?
Manuscripts?
Yes, would you like to look at them a little closer?
Why? These are my poems.
So I gather.
What a shame. Mrs. Bumpus has shown them to you. You must think me an utter ass. I wrote them years ago after reading Swinburne's Songs Before Sunrise. Nothing would do me then, but I had to reel off a set of Songs to the Sunrise. Aurora, you know, the rosy-fingered Aurora? They're all about Aurora. When Mrs. Bumpus told me her name was Aurora, I couldn't resist the temptation to lend them to her to read. But I didn't bargain for your unsympathetic eyes.
John, that's really very ready of you. You are cut out for literature, and the day will come when Rory and I will be proud to have you about the house. I have heard far thinner stories from much older men.
Do you mean to imply that you don't believe me?
Do you expect me to believe you?
Why not? I don't understand.
Come, don't underestimate your own cleverness, John. I think you understand pretty well.
I assure you I'm quite at a loss. Can you not be a little more explicit?
Don't overdo it, old chap. However, I will be just so far explicit as to say that if you think these poems read as if they were addressed not to a live woman, but to a shivering cold time of day, which you were never out of bed in your life, you hardly do justice to your own literary powers, which I admire and appreciate, mind you, as much as any man. Come, own up. You wrote these poems to my wife. Of course you did.
Mr. Bumpus, I pledge you my word you are mistaken. I need not tell you that Mrs. Bumpus is a lady of stainless honor who has never cast an unworthy thought on me. Why the fact that she is showing my poems?
That is not a fact. I came by them without her knowledge. She didn't show them to me.
Does that not prove their perfect innocence? She would have shown them to you at once if she had taken your quite unfounded view of them.
John, play fair. Don't abuse your intellectual gifts. Do you really mean that I'm making a fool of myself?
Believe me, you are. I assure you, on my honor, as a gentleman, that I've never had the slightest feelings for Mrs. Bumpus beyond the ordinary esteem and regard of a pleasant acquaintance.
Oh, indeed.
I should never have dreamt of writing poems to her. It is absurd.
Why is it absurd?
Well, it turns out I do not admire Mrs. Bumpus in that way.
Well, let me tell you that Mrs. Bumpus has been admired by better men than you soapy-headed little puppy, you.
There is no need to insult me like this. I assure you, on my honor, as a
You don't admire Mrs. Bumpus. You would never dream of writing poems to Mrs. Bumpus. My wife's not good enough for you, isn't she? Who are you, pray, that you should be so jolly superior?
Mr. Bumpus, I can make allowances for your jealousy.
Jealousy? Do you suppose I'm jealous of you? No, nor of 10 like you. But if you think I'll stand here and let you insult my wife in her own house, you're mistaken.
How can I convince you? Be reasonable. I assure you, my relations with Mrs. Bumpus are relations of perfect coldness, of indifference.
Say it again. You're proud of it, aren't you? Yeah, you're not worth kicking. Yeah.
Look here, I'm not going to stand this.
So you've got some blood in your body after all. Good job.
This is ridiculous. I assure you, Mrs. Bumpus is quite...
What is Mrs. Bumpus to you, I'd like to know? I'll tell you what Mrs. Bumpus is. She's the smartest woman in the smartest set in South Kensington. And the handsomest, and the cleverest, and the most fetching to experienced men who know a good thing when they see it. Or whatever she may be to conceited penny-lining puppies who think nothing good enough for them. It's admitted by the best people. And not to know it argues yourself unknown. 3 of our first actor-managers have offered her 100 a week if she'd go on stage when they start a repertory theater. I think they know what they're about as well as you. The only member of the present cabinet you might call a handsome man has neglected the business of the country to dance with her. Though he don't belong to our set is a regular thing. The first professional poet in Bedford Park wrote a sonnet to her, worth all of your amateur trash. At Ascot last season, the eldest son of a duke excused himself from calling on me on the grounds that his feelings for Mrs. Bumpus were inconsistent with his duty to me as host. And it did him honor, and me too. But she isn't good enough for you, it seems. You regard her with coldness, with indifference, and you have the cool cheek to tell me so to my face. For 2 pins, I flatten your nose in and teach you manners. Introducing a fine woman to you is casting pearls before swine. Before swine, do you hear?
You call me swine again, I'll land you on the chin, I'll make your head sing for a week.
What? Ugh. Oh.
What?
Teddy, you shan't be killed! He is a prize fighter!
I'll prize fight him!
No, Henry, don't let him fight you. Promise me
I
that
have
you
got the
won't.
most frightful bump on the back of my head.
Not until you have promised. Not until you both have promised. Teddy, you promise. Yes, yes, be good, you promise.
I won't, unless he takes it back.
He will, he does. He takes it back. Henry, you take it back, yes?
Yes, I take it back. I take it all back. All, without reserve.
Is no one going to help me? Now be good and shake hands.
I will do nothing of the sort. I've steeped myself in lies for your sake, and the only reward I get is a thump on the back of my head the size of an apple. Now I will return to the straight path.
Henry, for heaven's sake.
It's no use. Your husband is a fool and a brute.
What's that you say?
I say you're a fool and a brute. And if you'll step outside with me, I'll say it again. I wrote those poems to your wife, every word of them, and to nobody else. I wrote them because I loved her. I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and I told her so, over and over again. I adored her, do you hear? I told her you were a sordid, commercial chump, utterly unworthy of her, and so you are.
You don't mean it.
Yes, I do mean it. And much more, too. I asked her to walk out of the house with me, to leave you, to get divorced from you and marry me. I begged and implored her to do so this very night. It was her refusal to do so that ended everything between us. What she sees in you, goodness only knows.
My dear chap. Why didn't you say so before? I apologize. Come. Don't bear malice. Shake hands. Make him shake hands, Rory.
Henry, after all, he's my husband. Take his hand.
You've got to own that none of your literary heroines can touch my Rory. And Rory, they can't resist you. None of them. Never knew a man yet that could hold out 3 days.
Don't be foolish, Teddy. I'm sorry, Henry. I hope you were not really hurt. Oh, poor boy, what a bother. I must get some vinegar and brown paper.
Will you do me a great favor, Aunt John? I'd hardly like to ask, but it would be a real kindness to us both.
What can I do?
Well, may I get these printed? It shall be done in the best style, the finest paper, sumptuous binding, everything first class. The beautiful poems, and I should like to show them about a bit.
Oh, Henry, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, I don't mind. I'm past minding anything. I've grown too fast this evening.
How old are you, Henry?
This morning I was 18. Now I am, confound it, I'm calling that beast of a play.
Well, what shall we call the volume? To Aurora, or something like that, huh?
I think I should call it How He Lied to a Husband.